Hello and welcome to Joe's Java Jive. This is another episode of my podcast, and this is a special episode because we're talking about my mom, Vickie Sue. She passed away in May of 2024, and I have felt like I gained an angel when she passed on because she always told me that she was going to be coming at me from the great beyond. Sending any message that she could out my way. And, I really feel blessed to have had the mom that I did. Vickie Sue Agan was born September 12th, 1959, and she lived in Elmira, New York, with her 8 siblings. 9 if you count an extra one, because they always had someone else for dinner, even though they were feeding 9. Why not have 10? Why not have 11? So my mom was an amazing person, and she lived in Elmira. In her life, she raised 4 kids, and she was always sort of an artist. Big love for classic movies, and she truly had a lot to do with the reason why I love filmmaking to this day. So, Vickie Sue, I want to start today by talking a little bit about who my mom was. She was the kind of person who, wherever she went in this world, she made a friend. She was not afraid to go up to strangers and introduce herself and say hello, knowing that this might turn to a friendship that you'd have forever. And there was a few people who I know she met on bus rides or just walking around town. And, obviously she had her classic childhood friends that she kept for years, but she was always making new friends and supporting people. And my mom was always on the phone, always communicating, always talking to people. And that's a big part of who she was, which is why I'm so glad to have my own little podcast here where now I get to talk to people. And now I sit here and talk to whoever is listening. And it's been an amazing journey so far on this podcast. And in the last couple of episodes, we've been diving into a spiritual practice, which is something I really want to focus on today. Because I have with me a very exciting book that has to do with my mom, with spiritual practice, and it also has to do with the Akashic Records, which Brianna Jolie so beautifully laid out for us 2 episodes ago. So if you haven't yet, I recommend you go listen to the last 2 episodes of Joe's Java Jive. There's been even more so, like the Elliot Hoteling and Tim DeBella episode has the Vickie Sue music video at the end of it. So obviously, I hope you go and listen to the archives because it's been a really good show so far. I'm just thrilled with the conversations that we've had and the people I've gotten to talk to and share a little bit of my soul and hear their story. I'm so thankful for everything that's happened. When you start something like this, you don't know how it's going to go. You don't know if anybody's going to listen. And for me, I didn't really care because I needed to talk to people. I want my whole life to make these kinds of connections. And I'm just so excited to have a big list of all of some of the most interesting people who I know. So, one of the most interesting persons I've ever known was my mom. She was an absolute fashion icon, a total fashionista. She wore a different outfit every time I've ever seen her. And, there's a song that I wrote, Joe Jester, if you look at my first album, called Fashion. And it was really based on my mom's words. So in a little note in one of her many notebooks, it showed up and it said, "Hey, fashion is my glory. fashion tells a story. And then it said, long live fashion. And I just started a song with these words, and fashion is my soul, helps me survive. So I started this song, Fashion, which was a true dive into my mom's journey, but the real story and reason I'm telling you this is just to paint the picture for who she was. She loved collecting different artifacts that she knew she would use someday, whether it was in a hat or going to be in a dress, or she made her own vests. Vests by Vickie, she called it. A couple of business cards of that still laying around. And she really cared about creating these kinds of crafts. Like she would have these teapot parties where she would make all of these crazy hats with people and different things coming off of them and artifacts. And there's going to be some people throughout the podcast here who will be able to tell me more stories about these specifics, but I can give you a little rundown. She was born and raised in Elmira, and I always heard she was the one to walk into town and take a lot of the errands on, as she was sort of in the middle of the 9 kids there. And she would love to go to downtown Elmira. I heard she was actually one of the first customers of People's Place, the Tommy Hilfiger store. She used to go visit that in downtown Elmira. And I know she was kind of a hippie. My mom, her sisters would go straight and narrow, literally walking down the streets of Elmira, and my mom would take the slanted curve through the park to see what's going on with all the freaks down there in the hippie days in the 70s of Elmira, New York. And, she really loved to go to church. She was a very spiritual person. She was always talking about the Holy Spirit and how it runs through all of us, and everyone you meet has got the Holy Spirit within them. So she raised us like that and told me to be everybody's friend, go out there and really embrace your neighbors, your friends. And I'm so thankful that, she was able to see me blossom into the man I became. Obviously, I got a lot more growing up to do. And for some people, when someone's lost and they've gone away from you in the physical form, it can be really heartbreaking. And, for me, it was. But I also had a big sense of a way to process this that wasn't so, earth-shattering. And, everybody grieves differently, so it's really different for all. But for me, I took this experience and, truly processed what happened, and then started feeling a deeper connection to nature, to the world around me that I never really experienced before. So I found that in my life, the people that I come across, the little moments where I can pay it forward to someone and be kind, be a little bit of a support to them, those were all really powerful experiences for me to dive in and help this world. And I'm just getting started. There's a lot of people out there, they need help. We need to bring this world together. And it's going to start, right now. This moment, I hope you're semi-inspired by the Vickie Sue story. But I'm also telling the story of another woman. So, coming up here also, who had a May birthday, is this woman, Kia. Kia Abilay is the author of this book, The Gift of Listening. And I met Kia first on a movie set. Silent Retreat, directed by Todd Strauss-Schlusen, who's an incredible director and maker of a carbonated soda, Tiz. I do support very much Todd and his journey. He's an incredible director. I hope to have him on the podcast someday, and it was truly an honor to see him work. And this film was really special. It was in 2019, came to the area here in the Hudson Valley, and it had a great cast. And, we were working with Isabella Rossellini, actually, and on the night of my mom's birthday that year, she had told me, hey, I want you to tell Isabella that my mom loves your mom, Ingmar Bergman. So I went ahead and said, listen, my mom loves your mom, and we had a connection on the set. And I was able to be in this film, and the whole premise was that you were unable to speak for a few days. And when we got to this set, I knew it was a really special story that was going to unfold. And just between the background actors who were all getting a chance to meet each other, it was like this little gift of heaven in the middle of this fall of 2019 before the pandemic. And Kia Abilay was one of the women that we met when I first got to set, and she just has a heart of gold. And I can't tell you how lucky I am to have climbed into the vans to be driven around the set with Kia, to sit and meditate and just to experience each other and get a sense of who she was. It quickly became clear that she's got a heart of gold, and her and I really did connect and talked about where she was, and she lived right in Kingston, and spoke really highly of Dominic, who was the person kind of helping find her a room there in Kingston. She ended up staying a long time, and I hope to have Dominic on here, if not this episode, in a future one. But we wanted to talk about this connection because I met Kia on this movie set. And to finish the story of September 12th, my mom's birthday, we were shooting the scene. We were finally able to speak and granted the right to communicate. And I turned to this other, person on set who had been kind of playing my mom in a way in the background world. We kind of make a little more story than there really is when you're in the background. But they had kind of put me and this woman together, Siali, as sort of my Middle Eastern mom. So when I was finally granted the right to speak, I turned to her and I say, I love you, Mom. And I got to tell my mom that story, and it felt like she was there with me in the movie set. And this was a couple of months after I graduated from SUNY New Paltz. She was able to come to my graduation in May of 2019. And then, as 2020 rolled in, we realized that she had been diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. So my mom, she did enjoy a cigarette now and again. And I only do a little bit, one a day, but we were always worried that it would somehow lead to this. So my whole life, I never smoked a cigarette. I really advocate for people to put those things down, because smoking is so bad for you, and it's an addiction like no other. Anyone who's been there will tell you, I think Mark Twain said it best, quitting smoking is easy. I've done it 1,000,000 times. Yeah. Well, my mom, she was taking it like a champ, and, we were all going from that November of 2019 till May of 2020, we were able to process and get ready for this unexpected loss. And I just want to thank my siblings so much for all of the hard work. And I'm not going to reveal too much, of the nitty-gritty details of it, because it's really all in this book. And I'm going to let Kia's words speak here. And Kia, shortly after we met on Silent Retreat, posted in our little Silent Retreat group chat that she was offering a Akashic Records lesson, and that anybody from Silent Retreat could come and be a part of it. So this was my first time hearing, what is this? And I remember telling my mom, and she was like, you got to do it. This is so cool. And the Akashic Records If you didn't watch our episode with Brianna yet, I recommend you do. It's really tapping into a sacred, ancestral, longer than you have ever known. There's this ancient lifetimes record. And it's something that you channel and dive into, and then you sort of sit back, and if you are the one doing the reading, you let it kind of wash over you. You open the records and reveal some insights that come to you. And that's really what the gift of listening is all about. So I was working with Kia and had my own experience, and having her give me a reading was really powerful around this time. And I kept her in the loop on what was going on with my mom and this journey that she was on towards traveling into the next dimension, the great unknown. Ultimately, what happened next was that Kia and I stayed in touch, and my mom was coming close towards the end of her life. It was a few days before May 24th when she would ultimately pass away. And on May 21st, we found an opportunity to have my mom and Kia meet for an Akashic Record reading. So most people don't even know what these are, but Kia is a master, and she really was the perfect thing to dive into this with my mom. And you know, it was one of the most powerful readings of her life. So now, without further ado, I'm going to read this chapter from the book, and I'm going to stop and give my own insight, but I want to thank Benjamin, who helped transcribe this story, and please check out the gift of listening for Kia's full story. But right now, we're going to go into it. Here we go. I said in Chapter 3 that my experience on the film Silent Retreat opened many synchronicities. What follows is the story of my friend Joseph, who was also a background actor in Silent Retreat, an Akashic Records reading of his mother, Vickie. I have done a lot of Akashic Record sessions over the years, and I must say that this session with Joseph and his mom has really imprinted my heart so deeply. It is truly unforgettable. I want to say before I go any further that Kia has also now joined my mom in the great beyond. So this is posthumous, but as you'll hear in this reading, there is no end to the story. The soul goes on and on. Joseph and I met on the set of a film. A mature young man of 22 when the film was shot in the fall of 2019. He is a film lover and an aspiring filmmaker himself. He and his mother Vickie were very close. Vickie suffered back problems all of her life and had over 10 surgeries on her back. One activity that she and Joseph could do together, especially during her recovery periods, was to watch films. Turner Classic Movies was always on. Vickie especially loved the classics. One black and white film, including those starring Ingrid Bergman. Naturally, when Joe got a background part on Silent Retreat, she was very proud. And an extra fun part was that Joe was working with Isabella Rossellini, Ingrid Bergman's daughter. On set, Joe delivered a message to Isabella saying hi from Vickie and relaying what she was a big fan of her mother. As Joe puts it, we had a moment of connection there that was so special. And that conversation happened to take place on Vickie's birthday, September 12th. My full album should be coming out by that date. But Silent Retreat did so much more for Joe and his mother. Just before filming began, he was working as the director of a middle school musical, teaching 62 students, their parts, the choreography, their lines. She always signed... Okay. Yeah, this is where we're really getting into it. So he was teaching all of their lines and everything. It was extremely challenging. And then, shortly into this production, Vickie was diagnosed with cancer. Every day he would worry, how am I going to do this? 62 kids. I hope they're good. I hope they listen. And I hope they behave. And every day he would talk to his mom on the drive to school. And she would say, you can do this. You got this. Even as her illness grew, she urged Joe forward, his biggest supporter, calming his anxieties. It's true. Joe put all of his energy into directing this show, and somehow it all came together. Yes, the universe had another twist in store, but he took it in stride with such grace and intuition. And as that date drew near, the show's opening date was March 15th. And as it got closer, the COVID cases, of course, were spreading in the state of New York, and there was a talk of lockdown, orders being imminent. They even snuck a few parents in to see the opening night. Joe made sure to bring the camera crew, and they shot the opening night and even snuck in a few parents who got to see their kids perform. His gut said this would be the only show they'd get to do, and he was right. We had this amazing show that the kids can watch on video now, Joe says, looking back on it. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. And I was just so thankful to my mom, who is a warrior. It was interesting that by May the whole world was shutting down, and her life and body were shutting down as well. And then there was the serendipitous way that the relationships on Silent Retreat fed his heart connection with his mother, and perhaps preparing him. As her passing grew imminent, Joe tells it best. All the things we were doing for that movie were showing me real gratitude. It was a real transformative time. I took that movie as a chance to get into meditation on a much deeper level. I was being silent on set. I was journaling. I was reading The Artist's Way. I was taking a deep dive while on set. It was a sanctuary. In 2020 now, I would give anything to be back on that set. Me too, Kia says. The funny thing about that movie is that even though I was not next to my mom, I felt very close to her on that set. I talked to her every day on my way home, and it was like she was seeing me reach some of my dreams. Being on a movie set, doing what I love. The story in the film follows events to the conclusion of the retreat. We reached the point of the plot of the film where we were allowed to speak and come out of silence, and there was a woman who had become like my mother in the movie. Siali was her name. She was a healer as well. They placed us next to each other because we kind of looked like mother and son, and I remember the first thing I said when we were given permission to speak. I said, I love you, Mom, and hugged Siali on my mom's birthday. It was kind of a gift to my mom in sort of a telepathic way, to be able to tell her that at the end of the day, it was such a cool gift. It feels like every movie and every creative thing I've ever done since then has been for my mom. Fully rely on God. In the spring of 2020, Vickie's illness advanced, and Joe, wielding such strong heart presence now, again took action. In February, I had led an Akashic Records training and invited all my Silent Retreat meditators to come check it out. Joe came. He was the only male there that day. He was very open-minded and is interested in learning about how the healing modalities could maybe be helpful. He shared how his mother was in better spirits when he was doing that class. She really was pleased to see Joe deepen his spiritual experience. Vickie's motto in life was FROG, fully rely on God. She signed all of her text messages with it. And she walked that walk too, living her life with a deep connection to spirit, a deep faith. It means the world to her to see her children practicing frog as well. Here's how Joe describes what led him to book an Akashic Record reading with me as Vickie neared the end of his lifetime. It was a real period of an intense strength and bravery from her, and something came out of me deep inside that said, "You have to rise to the occasion now." When the play ended, I was right there and was a spiritual person for my mom towards the end. Luckily, I had lots of healers and mentors who said, "Joe, you've got to step it up. You and your mom are connected on a spiritual level, and you have to be there for her in that way." Joe is the youngest of Vickie's 4 children, and though the others were taking care of the logistics, he felt he had a deep understanding of how his mom sees her spirit. She always talked about the Holy Spirit. It's within us all, and that you can see it in everyone. That spiritual connection is what makes me think that I know the perfect person for my mom to see on one of her last days. So now she includes in here the reading. And as much as I want to read the reading, I have a recording of it. So I'm going to play that recording now, at least the segments that Kia includes. So without further ado, here is the Akashic Record reading.
So we're going to open your Akashic Records. And the Akashic Records is a journey of our soul. And like in many texts, in Christian texts and Jewish texts and Muslim texts, and that it is about everything that we have done in life and is experienced in life is in our records. So we're going to open your records today and see what information wants to come through for you and your family. And we can have a conversation there if you have specific questions you would like to ask. You can. I mean, like, the angels have been here all day long with everybody. And I just finished another session, and it's like, I mean, the angels are so present, And you've got big-time guardian angels. These aren't those little cherubs. There might be a few of them up there, but I'm feeling like big-time guardian angels. And I have a feeling that you have been, the word in cahoots with them for a while. So it's like no new thing for you to be in harmony with the angels.
That's for sure.
You probably were one of them at one time. And then you decided to come to Earth and have a beautiful family.
Yes.
So, what I need to know first, Joseph,
yes,
is, I'm going to write it down here. Is your mom's full legal name?
Vickie Sue, and then her last name is Agan, A-G-A-N.
A-G-A-N. Okay. So, Vickie, we open the records through a prayer. It's a pathway prayer to the heart. And some of it I will be saying out loud, and other times I will say it in silence. And like whatever comes through, sometimes stuff comes through right away. And then you can ask questions, or since you've gathered family here and your friends, you can ask other questions. Okay. Yeah. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, directions, and courage to know the truth. as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. Help me to know Vickie in the light of the Akashic Records, to see Vickie through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom, compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Vickie have for her. So I'll say that 2 more times in silence, using your full legal name.
Which picture? Which picture? Picture. The girls are in there and showing. Oh, that was fun. I love everybody dressing up. They look like black hats, but it was really fun.
The records are now open.
She didn't decide.
So if you ever thought that your mission on this earth was yet to be done, they're saying that what you came here into this lifetime to be and to experience, that you have been gung-ho and has experienced your life in big ways, in small ways, and it's just as planned. So if you think that you missed the boat sometime, that might have been a side trip, but your path was to come in love. And you have been an epitome of love, even when you didn't know it fully. Even when you thought at times that you misjudged or you spoke out of line or maybe you should have done something better, I'm seeing the angels shaking your head and saying, like, no way. You were right in alignment of spreading your heart energy wherever you were. And it feels like at sometimes you had to be a little stricter or a little bit more like, you got to do it like this. And even that kind of energy that you gave out was really what the people around you needed. I mean, I sense the strength of who you are. I mean, you have really walked this land with a powerful, heavy foot. And the steps that you have made were deliberate, and some of them were ones that you didn't feel like were deliberate. You had the angels making that mark for you too. It feels like you have a legacy that goes beyond even what you know. That you have affected people even when you had no idea you were affecting people. It's like you were affecting people by being who you are. And like it or not, it didn't matter because you were going to be who you are. And it feels like that was one of your missions in this lifetime, is to really shine the light on people for them to fulfill their potential. And sometimes you were quite adamant with passing that word on. There have been some that maybe would seem sort of lackadaisical to you, and you would get them back on track. And and it was like in a powerful way, but always a loving way. And it feels like the reverberation of who you are. I see, like, how you throw a pebble in the water and it just sort of like keeps going. And it might just seem like a little pebble. It might not even seem like you were making any effect on anybody. But some of the pearls of your wisdom, just even some of those little uncanny thoughts, just sort of as a side effect, affected people more than you knew. And the example of you being who you are has been very powerful for other people to experience. It feels like you have a fan club. You know, like a fan club that you wouldn't even know about. You know, if we put out this message to the universe and say, okay, who is affected by the energy of Vickie? It would be like this avalanche of these messages coming from everywhere. And you would read them and you would go, what? I didn't do anything. I just told the neighbor's kid something. And yet that neighbor's kid still carries this through their adult life. Yeah. Yeah, I'm just feeling it in my heart, the vibrations. And actually, it's really beautiful to feel the energy of someone who got the message of who they were and just was who you were, just who you were in this lifetime. And if somebody didn't like it, like, too bad, you know? And you know, that's a strong quality to have. Because so many people, and I can raise my hand even this morning with something that happened to me, is we get so rocked from the outside, and we all do that. But you had this kind of strength in your heart, in your core, to be able to ride the wave, even with the waves were really high, and your boat was rocking off the chart. That you still, even with those heavy waves, that you were like, stayed determined, and maybe sometimes even a little stubborn, to be who you wanted to be, or who you were meant to be. And that legacy is going to be carried on forever. I mean, I can feel that, and we just met. You know, the inspiration of your energy, I feel right now that I can wave the flag as a fan for you too.
Thank you,
Yeah.
she says.
It's really amazing to feel the presence of you.
Same with
Were
you.
you a gardener or a flower person or liked flowers?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the sense of gardening and flowers are really, really deeply connected with the earth, and also very connected to the spiritual realm, even without having to announce that. Is there any questioning that you would like to ask?
Anything.
Live to have a long life.
What did she say?
She said, will I live to have a long life?
We have no ending of our life. We are in this kind of continuous flow of life. And they're showing me like this stream. And I'm seeing like feet in the stream. And it's like I'm sensing it's like the stream of life, and I see people's bare feet, and the feet is all different colors. So it's like the form and the body that we pick is a continuation of our life.
It's amazing.
Amazing, she says.
Yeah. So life as we know it in this particular physical body is only a short, in the context of all life, is only a limited time until we choose to create another form for our own lessons, for our own giving of love and receiving love. It's like the soul has no end. And your soul has been through many lifetimes, like from rags to riches. You know it all. You have been on the top of the crown, with your crown on your head at the top of the throne. Mm-hmm. And you know how to be on the top of the throne. And you also know how to be digging in the dirt. You have that extensive soul experience. Not to mention many lifetimes of those big archangel wings.
Thank you.
You have also been a person who carries other people. That you have been there for all people. I'm almost feeling like this super strength that you came into in this lifetime. And many people have relied on you energetically, emotionally, to help get them through. And I'm seeing, like, once again, it's like this race, and you're running this race, and there's all these people that are around that are applauding you.
Yes. That's and when your physical therapy, she just was able to walk and was being applauded walking around the cancer hospital after regaining her ability to walk.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Yeah, he was putting out in the other corner.
So I'm seeing like this big torch, and like you stick on the ground, like after you have won the race, but you're carrying a torch. That's what it is. It's a torch, and it's lit up, and you're putting it in the ground, and the strength of who you are and who you have been is going to be lit up forever. I mean, like, I've done a lot of readings and a lot of sessions, and this kind of strength I have never seen before in one person. I mean, everybody has strengths, you know, but what they're showing me right now is you made a mark in this lifetime that's never, never, ever going away.
Thank you.
What did she say?
She said thank you, and it's so true.
Yeah.
She's had so much pain, and she still continues to help so many people in her life.
I know, it's like I said, I've never felt this kind of strength like that.
Yeah.
You know.
She's had like over double-digit surgeries in her life, and back surgeries, and just always had pain, and she's always been a healer and a helper. You'd never know it by all the people she helped. You are so spot on.
You know, I mean, like if I didn't know her situation, I thought she would be just hanging out on the bed and relaxing, and having a session.
Yeah.
And I'm blown away by it.
Thank
I mean, you're a conqueror. And not only a conqueror, you're a visionary.
Thank you.
And it's like you didn't have to take any lessons or any classes either.
It's just inner soul.
It totally is. I mean, it's like magnification like I've never experienced before.
Oh, I appreciate it.
She says, I appreciate it, you know. And so do I, Kia. This is so beautiful. And I was meant to meet you and have this reading done. It's all meant to be. We've been so cosmically gifted.
Well, thanks for bringing him in because I love that boy. And we had a really wonderful time on set this summer, and it was really a magical group of connections. And so part of you was out there with us doing the crazy things we did for that film.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
And we were on set on her birthday, actually, was the day that we were able to speak for the first time, September 12th. And I turned to Ali, or the woman, and said, I love you, Mom, and was able to have this mom moment there on set. And I hope, you know, it was very beautiful. And she was a big Isabel Rossellini fan. She loves classic movies and has been showing them to me my whole life. And she used to say that you were like you lived in the Victorian age and had all those outfits, and that's when you said, you know, that you've been in the top of the riches and the crown, and on the bottom. I can see that Victorian age.
That's why she has been able to be to see through anybody's quote situation and see the essence of someone's soul. Just so accepting of everyone, even the naughty ones.
Yeah, even the naughty one, the fresh boys. That's where I got it from, this universal acceptance and love for everyone. It's all from her. That's the biggest lesson that I learned from her. Is just the Holy Spirit is in everyone.
That's huge.
Yeah.
I can't thank you enough.
She says she can't thank you enough.
Yeah. No, thank you. It's been a blessing for me to be with you. Yeah, so, even though it's only been a short time with us, I think that the gifts and the jewels of us coming together has been presented.
Yeah.
I agree.
She agrees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So here's a little heart, one of my favorite hearts.
Wow. The rainbow heart.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let me close the records. I'd like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I'd like to thank the lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. I'd like to thank the Holy Spirit of lifelong healing, knowledge and healing. Records are now closed, amen. Records are now closed, amen. Records are now closed, amen. I also feel that there's someone that's in the room that has some words they want to say, or I am feeling that someone's heart is cracking. And so if anybody would like to say something.
I just want to say that I am so deeply thankful to be your son and to learn all of those lessons that you so effortlessly have given me just by being you. You've shown me how to live on another plane that I don't think my soul was even ready for. And you brought me into this incredible world and worldview that I think is going to make the rest of my journey effortless and easy, and I'm going to lay down in that stream that you described and just let it flow. And I'm going to help everyone I can and be a healer just like you, Mama. And I thank you for those lessons.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, Vickie's passing on May 24th, 2020. On that day, Joe and his siblings, James, Michael, and Mallory, were gathered at Vickie's house in Elmira, New York. They all kind of knew that it was the day. It felt like the last day. It was the day that the Virgin Mary died, and an important figure in Vickie's life. And it was also the birthday of one of Joe's heroes, Bob Dylan. Something was in the air. The siblings said, let's let her be for a moment and take a walk. They walked down to the pond of Elmira College, near Mark Twain's study, to a spot where Vickie often took the kids when they were young. They picked the flowers and put them in the water, and had a moment of reflection, acknowledging, this is it. They were standing up to go back when a duck took off from the water in spectacular fashion, right in front of them. It flew across the surface, trailing its feet over the water as if walking on water right in front of us. Then fluttering into the air and rose up and flew away. All of their hearts dropped. They looked at each other and thinking, okay, that's a change. Joe said to Mallory, we better get back. We better get back to the house. At that moment, their aunt texted, you might want to come back. Things are taking a turn. As Joe shared with me, they felt Vickie's spirit leave in that moment. Back at the house, they saw the remnants of her spirit. It was another hour or two of the body breaking down as they looked back on the bird, alerting them. They felt something significant, like a sign of her telling them everything is going to be all right, and beautifully exiting the scene. It was a beautiful moment. Connection to nature, Joe says. That really is what it's all about. Her lessons and teachings have made me see the world in this way, and I'm so thankful for that. It is a gift. I feel like she really did give it to me in so many ways. Knowing her and having her be the biggest role model in my life has made me who I am, and I am so thankful for it. Joe and his fiancée Serena Hope created music of celebration that weekend. In the weeks and months after my mother's passing, I felt so connected to the world around me and other people, and every piece of nature. It is easy for me to do what she would do and listen to those signs. And it is a gift to listen to that. In talking to Joe about this time in his life, the play he directed, our time together at Silent Retreat, and Vickie's reading, I shared with him that the name of my book was to be The Gift of Listening. He said, oh, perfect. My mother always encouraged her kids early on. She would say, what's your guardian angel's name? Do you listen to it? Who do you listen to? Give him a name and create a vision of your conscience. That little voice that tells you what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be. Always listen to that. I couldn't have said it any better myself. Thank you, Vickie and Joe. Thank you, Kia. Oh, thank you so much. And as this book comes to an end, I just sit here and miss you so much, Vickie Sue, Kia, and my uncle Jimmy, who also passed away recently. I made a song that was released on May 24th, 2024, which was the 4-year anniversary of my mom's passing. So, looking ahead, I wanted to read the last few words of Kia's book. So is mentioned a million times in my writing. Another way to say it is the beat goes on. That is it, folks. I really am blown away. And Dominic Vanacore, the heart and soul of Dreamweavers Building in Kingston, New York, where Kia was divinely placed for peace, healing, release, and deep soulful friendships. Thank you for being here every step of the way. Well, to everyone who touched me in my journey with prayer, support, kindness, energy work, soup, flowers, and laughter. And Penny, the fur baby healer. This is Kia's real ending to the book, and I just hope that you do read this, because it truly is a special, special project. I did reach out to Ben, the author of it, and I hope I can have him on at a future date, just to process everything that was said. Vickie Sue, we do really feel you, and we love you. And it might seem strange to some of the folks out there, to make a podcast all about my dead mom. But I'm doing it now because I'm laying down in the archive this historic, amazing journey that she went on. Not only raising us kids, but really raising so many kids in the neighborhoods that she lived in our whole lives, and especially as Aunt Vickie, as many people knew her. And I just am so thankful for her even this many years on, and it just felt really right to do, to tell this story and to encapsulate that story with Kia coming in at the end. And that is such a powerful connection that was made. So truly, as life goes on, you never know who you're going to connect with and what is going to come from it. Folks, thank you so much for listening to this very unique episode of Joe's Java Jive, talking really about two people who have passed on in the physical form and are resting in paradise. Kia and Vickie, we love you. And thank you so much for listening, folks. Enjoy your time. Call your mom. Don't smoke cigarettes. And remember to listen. Peace.
So this song, I want to give a little background to. It's a very special song to me that I wrote actually when my mom was diagnosed with cancer. And we created this song towards the end of her life, which she's now passed on. And it's an anthem of celebration of all of her philosophies in life. And one of them, which is going to be audience participation, is something we would do when people would call on the phone and we were with my mom. She would shout out, "We're having a party!" So the chorus, I want everybody to help me out with that part. We're having a party! And she goes, "We love you!" Let me hear it. We're having a party! And we love you! We're having a party! And we love you! Vickie Sue taught me to be true. Vickie Sue lets that spirit come through. Vickie Sue with her eyes on the new. Vickie Sue taught me to be true. My mom from the cloud makes me feel so